It's a thief lurking around your wallet, taking your nickels, dimes, and even your
Inflation.
loonies. But only in small enough sums that you never really notice it at any moment in time. It's just that all of a sudden you wake up and realize you can't afford homes or food or any other of the essentials. And we've seen the worst inflation in a generation.
I mean, this is crazy. Like he said it's spot on. I don't know if he wrote the speech or someone else, but this is definitely true. Like, how many of you just saw the prices rising and you weren't concerned at all because it was like, just milk's a little bit more expensive, this is a little bit more expensive, and out of nowhere we're paying twice as much for the groceries. Electricity and gas is more expensive, right? What else? Mortgage went up, and it didn't go up. Like, okay, if you have a fixed interest, obviously it didn't go up for you, but if you don't have fixed, it went by these quarter points, and out of nowhere you're paying 30% more monthly, which is crazy. And now it's going down, right? And again, it's going down quarter points, but somehow you're still paying so much. It's crazy. And it's exactly like Pierre said, like, it didn't happen overnight. It was these small things, and you don't even realize you're paying more here, more there, and out of nowhere you're like, how am I supposed to pay for my bills? And that's exactly what happened.
Generation over the last.
And you know what's even more ridiculous? What did you hear from liberals this past, 3 months? Did you hear any solution? Obviously, inflation went down, but it didn't really affect the grocery prices or anything like that so far, right? Call it maybe because of the industrial tax that's still in place. Industrial carbon tax, right? Who knows? But anyway, this past 3-4 months, all you hear is, oh, President Trump bad. You don't hear any solution how to deal with inflation from the liberal side, or at least I didn't hear it. To be fair, every time I turn on some liberal video, all I'm thinking about is, you had 10 years to fix all of this, but no, you allowed it. You unleashed inflation, you unleashed the poverty, you unleashed the crisis. And now you want us to believe that you're gonna fix it after pretty much allowing this for past 5-10 years?
Last 5 years. And it's about to get a lot worse if Mark Carney and the Liberals get a 4th term in office. He just announced his platform on a quiet, sleepy Saturday of the Easter long weekend so that nobody would notice it. But it includes $130 billion of additional.
And that's exactly what was going on with inflation, right? And during COVID and everything, they are trying to distract you, and then they sneak in all of these little things that will make your life worse, just hoping that you won't notice it. And just, come on, Easter Saturday, and he comes with this? Don't tell me that it's genuine behavior, that he's acting in the best interest of Canadians.
Spending above and beyond all the spending that Trudeau had previously budgeted for the forthcoming half decade. If you take the extra spending from Trudeau's plans and you take on the new spending by Mark Carney, it's $250 billion of extra money for which there's no source of revenue, which means they will be printing it again, causing even more inflation.
They will print it, and who's going to end up paying for it? Us, people living in Canada.
Now, you'll recall that I warned the last time that they started these spending sprees that there would be enormous inflation. I said that this extra money chasing a scarce supply of goods would drive up prices and you would pay the price. And what happened? Housing costs doubled and 2 million people are now lined up monthly at a food bank. Mark Carney said at the time that there would be no inflation. He didn't worry about it. Have a listen.
Central bankers, 2 to 3 years, the horizon for monetary policy. It is unlikely to materialize to a serious extent. In fact, we need some inflation to come off.
Well, and when that turned out to be wrong, he said that inflation.
So Obviously, this video might be cut out of the context. I don't know, I didn't see the whole interview. But wasn't he in charge of Bank of Canada and then Bank of England? And Mark Carney keeps talking about his incredible resume. And apparently everything he did on his own. He didn't have any team. It was just him, pretty much president of the world, deciding about everything. But let's take that aside. How do you make a mistake like this? And you base your whole election, base your character on this resume. And look, he made some mistakes, some big mistakes, some huge mistakes. And obviously it's human to make mistakes, to make errors, right? But you need to kind of admit it and don't pretend like you're this person who solved everything in the past and that it was just you.
Inflation would actually be a good thing.
Mark Carney tells me,
Yeah,
for all of
for
investors' worries about inflation, it is a good sign the economy's moving forward.
We will be in a position where inflation returns more firmly, and policy will need to be adjusted. And I'd underscore, though, that is a good scenario, because that means that economies are moving forward.
It was anything but the good scenario that Mark Carney promised.
Well, again, that's what I keep saying. Like, he doesn't care about Canadians, and the Liberals Party in general doesn't care about normal Canadians. Like, it's all about... I'm sorry, but it's very similar to US. Like, Liberals care about identity politics as well, DEI. You heard it from Mark Carney saying, oh, since the US cut down on DEI and wokeness, we're gonna go even hard. So he's pretty much promoting discrimination, because yes, that's what DEI is. The original idea of DEI is pure, but the execution that they did, that out of nowhere we're going to prefer these identity groups over someone else, that's pretty much discrimination. What are we talking about? There's nothing to talk about. And that's all the Liberals stand for. So right now, look, you have Mark Carney, who has conflict of interest, who acts in his own interest, and he acted like that as an advisor to Justin Trudeau, because obviously for him, inflation was good for his investment firm, right? But it wasn't good for normal Canadians. So how should we trust him he's going to change anything like that? And like I said in my previous video, maybe I also mentioned it over here, because that's something I like to repeat, and it's something people need to realize. He's been in power for over a month right now. What did he do? And compare it to President Trump. What did President Trump did in, let's say, in the first week? He made so many changes that were supposed to be for the better quality of life of Americans. What did Mark Carney do in this month or almost 2 months? It just focused on election. It gave us empty promises without action. You have the power right now. If we believe that Mark Carney is not Justin Trudeau, if we believe that Mark Carney has power over all the Liberal Party to do whatever he promises to do, why aren't you doing it? You're in power right now. And if you really cared about Canadians, you would try to do anything you can right now to help us, even if you might not get elected again. But now, obviously, he doesn't care, and that's the biggest issue.
In fact, it was the worst possible scenario for you as your purchasing power went down, but it wasn't bad for everyone. In fact, the super rich benefited as their assets and investments paid out inflated returns. Now, you had inflated prices and they had inflated profits. This is Bruce Flatt. He's the head of Brookfield, the CEO of Mark Carney's company. Have a listen to how he talks about how wonderful inflation has been for him.
So inflation actually is a positive for most of the things that we do.
Carney is still invested in that very same Brookfield, so he would profit from causing additional inflation. He gets reelected, hold on to your wallet and onto the loonies that will be losing their purchasing power. But the good news is, it doesn't have to be this way. We know the solution. We have to attack the disease, not just the symptom. The symptom is higher prices. The disease is overspending by government. We need to rein in government spending. I will be cutting bureaucracy, foreign aid, corporate welfare, and of course, I'll be cutting back on consultants. The Liberal government is forcing Canadians to...
Another thing is that, like, nowadays you can afford this. You can cut on the government because all you need is just few people and AI. That's all. Like, and don't get me wrong. I'm not naive. I know there's so many governmental jobs that are pointless, that are just taking taxpayers' money and that's it. We don't need so many government employees. But now it's even better. We're in even better situation right now. All you need is few professionals that will use the AI to help them. So instead of the team of, let's say, 8 people, all you need is a team of 2-3 people and the AI tools. That's all you need. And that's how it's going to go in the future. Like, AI is the future.
Spend almost $1,400 per family on consultants, almost $20 billion just to pay for high-priced consultants to do things that public servants should be doing. I will cut back the government's expenditures on consultants to the level they were at when Prime Minister Stephen Harper left office. That will save $10 billion. That's $10 billion a year less inflation.
So he said something very interesting, and I did not realize it up until now. How crazy is that we elect our government or our representatives, right? We elect people who are supposed to pretty much serve us or have our best interest on their mind, just represent people, right? And somehow you can't go to the government when you have an issue. You need to go to some private company and pay them to help you solve the issue, which in the end is most of the time issue with the government. How ridiculous it is. Like, that's what Pierre pretty much said, and I never realized it before. It's crazy. So you elect all of these representatives and then you can't trust them. They won't help you. You need to pay some outside company to help you with your needs, pretty much. And that's definitely not okay. That's not how it's supposed to be. Like, government should be acting in your best interest and not put so much bureaucracy on you that you actually need to hire someone to help you.
And instead of creating more cash, we'll create more of what cash buys. We'll unlock the power of our resources, our mines, our natural gas, our oil, our uranium, our hydroelectricity, and countless other things by repealing anti-energy laws, granting permits in 6 months, setting up shovel-ready zones that pre-approve permits so we can get projects off the ground without any delay. I've had 2 independent, nonpartisan academic economists, one of them who's the former top economic analyst for Statistics Canada, calculate that this will generate $70 billion in extra government revenue over the next 4 or 5 years. Money that you won't have to pay in taxes, money that we won't have to print or borrow, money that will strengthen the purchasing power for all Canadians. Those resources, by the way, also raise the value of the Canadian dollar so that the things that we buy on the world market, like energy and food, are actually less costly in Canadian dollars. This is how we're going to axe the inflation tax and reinstate the purchasing power of your money. Because you worked hard for your loonies, toonies, and bills, and you should bring it home. Of the Easter long weekend so that nobody would notice it.
There you go. And he's absolutely right. Like, why should you increase the debt when you don't have to? I mean, obviously the debt is gonna get bigger, but like, why do you need to print money when you have resources so you don't need the money? It's literally like, are you gonna take one overtime at work that will help you to pay all of your bills? Or are you gonna take some crazy loan and struggle? And that's literally the situation over here, right? We can work harder to better our life, unleash the resources. It's not going to happen overnight. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. But inflation didn't happen overnight either. And it did not disappear overnight either. So now imagine if we print more money, like how much worse the situation can be in Canada. And like what's the solution for that? Okay, we're going to increase our debt by 130 billions. How are we going to pay for it? So again, first of all, we're going to print out more money. We're going to pay more on taxes, more on interest. So guess who's going to pay for it? Us. So do you want to pay for Mark Carney's crazy spending? Or do you want government to figure out our economy so we don't have to pay for it as Canadians and Canadian residents and just people living in Canada? Like, what's better for you? Do you want to pay more on taxes, pay more on the grocery prices, or do you actually want someone to solve the issue and unleash the economy of Canada so we don't have to face another inflation? It's easy. If you're happy with how liberals ran this country this past 10 years, vote for them. If you want change, vote for conservatives. I know where I stand, and I said it multiple times. I stand for change. Pierre Poilievre is the only one who's promising to change something. And like I said multiple times, on one side you have promise, on one side you have past experience. I understand that you don't want to put your faith in the promise, but what's the other choice? The past experience? These were not good.